Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, Senior Superintendent Gavin Henry has admitted that there has been a slight increase in murders in the Western Division this year. And that's in spite of an SOE. Remember in January or so, they were boasting about how crime was down and giving credit to the SOE. We are seeing an increase, I will admit. The last figures I saw showed a slight increase in murders in the Western Division. And that is of concern to us, and that is a major part of our focus, he said in an interview with the Sunday Express last week. My response, an SOE can only provide a temporary reduction in crime, people. That was just expected. But as the criminals become accustomed to the new normal, they will resume the turf wars and other forms of lawlessness. You really feel as though they're going to just continue to humble themselves because they know you could enter their homes without any sort of notification, without a warrant? No, people. That's not how criminals behave or act. Detaining a few suspects without evidence to charge them, which is even more ridiculous, because when the SOE is over, you have to release them back into the public anyhow you take it, won't prevent thousands of others who have been indoctrinated with gang culture, that's the root cause, to continue murdering each other throughout Trinidad and Tobago. What we need to do, we need to reform the TTPS to ensure proper investigations are conducted, rogue elements are removed, and cops are trained to obey the same laws which they enforce, because that's one of the major problems right now. Most cops are law-abiding, don't get me wrong, but they commit the same minor offenses just like the rest of the population, like parking offenses and speeding and so forth. Now, speeding is a serious offense in my opinion, but you see the parking, those kind of minor offenses, things because you want to just go and buy something quickly to eat. Police violate that law all the time, and yet they're always buffing up people for doing the same thing, right? But besides that, there has been the much more serious ones. Police drive recklessly on the roadways, endangering everybody's lives, and popping the horns and blowing the sirens and stuff like that. People have to be just rushing quickly to move to the side of the road because the guards need to pass and move along. Go along. It's ridiculous. I've seen how many times people came very close to getting into accidents because of these bullies here in Sangre Grande as well. They feel the big and the bad. They're on a mission, and everybody just have to move out of the way without taking any kind of precautions. No, people. This is something that the government needs to address, and the police service needs to address. Tell them proceed with caution. Yes. The people will move out of the way, you know, but you have to give them a certain amount of time. They don't want that. Police don't drive like that. Police are coming up to the vehicles, looking as though they're going to crash into the vehicles, and then they want to curse people and stuff like that. When it is people don't move away as quickly as they want them to. It's mountain pavements and all kind of thing people have to be doing just to get out of the way. It's ridiculous, right? But getting back to the suggestion I have here, I also said, we also need to ban the glorification of murder and other forms of violence in the media and public places. That is one of the other major issues, gang culture, indoctrination. It's one thing, people, to sing about crime, which is plaguing your community, because that's the first thing all these zessers say, but we just highlighting the crime in our communities. No, you are not. No, you are not. Because what they're doing is actually, but it's beyond disturbing to see so many artists promoting that type of deadly lifestyle. They glorify it. They're not highlighting it. They're not telling the youths to put down the guns. They're not telling the youths to give up drugs and go and get a job. No, they're telling them instead to zest. That's what they're telling them to do. And then they're telling people that all they're doing is highlighting the crime in the community. It's only those that are under the spell of gang culture will believe the utter nonsense that comes out into the public through these activists for gang culture and bad man music. It's also time to reform the judiciary system so that trials can be completed in a short space of time so that capital punishment can be resumed. That's one of the main deterrents, you know, people. That's the main way to deter individuals from committing crime. When they start to see capital punishment being resumed, a lot of individuals are going to think twice. The terrifying silence from the government and a system on the verge of collapse. Yes, Kakash Media, of course, is sounding the alarm. The National Nurses Association advises its members to take a break the moment their 8-hour shift ends unless they are paid full overtime. And as the industrial war between the NCRHA and the union intensifies, it is the patients and the nation's newborns caught in the crossfire. Don't worry, the government is doing the right thing. They're going to hire a whole lot more nurses, even if we had to bring them from abroad, so that these patriots could get their time to go home, okay? And you were complaining about the overtime, having to work extra shifts and hours and stuff like that. Well, good. Now we are going to hire a whole lot more people so that you can go your merry way, okay? Nice. My response, why are the Nursing Association officials demanding an overtime rate that was only supposed to be paid to nurses who are performing duties in specific departments? That's what I can't handle, you know, people. That's why I can't handle. Now, at the end of the day, you want an increase? Fine, but do it the right way. How come all other regional health authorities were complying with the terms and conditions set by the CPO when PNM was in office? How come we didn't have all these passionate protests? Most you would have had back then was a day of reflection, you know, or a week of reflection, and they did it so calmly and peacefully. Because why? You couldn't do that to Rowley. Rowley will tell you, well, you don't want to take your pay and go home. Not so? Or at least something similar to that he said. I don't want to misquote anybody. You could take your back pay and go home or something like that. That is what he said, I believe. Anyhow, he said, I went on to say, why are Trini so bold-faced? What your officials were doing is illegal. And yet you're trying to bully the UNC administration into submitting to your demands. It's ridiculous, people. Wait for new negotiations to begin in order to receive a new extra duty rate. But stop being tools of the PNM, because that's what you are right about now, people. That's what you are right about now. Are we saying that the system is good? No. But who had that system messed up in the first place? It's the PNM, and you want now UNC to come and just fix everything within a few months. After 10 years of utter destruction and incompetence and corruption under the PNM, you all are being unfair now. You all are being unfair. Yes, I was condemning the UNC recently because of the duties and the fees and the taxes and whatsoever and the fines. And I still stand my ground when it pertains to those things. But you all come in now and want to bully the government to do everything you all want in the shortest space of time possible. Even though you held strain for a whole 10 years, 9.5 years. Nah, man. And people will come and say, but no, you know, the nurses were always complaining. Not like you're doing now. Not like you're doing now. Never. I went on to say, I gave an analogy. I said, Granny gave the kids chocolate and ice cream before bedtime, because that's what the NCRHA did. They were paying the $75 rate to all the nurses, even though they were only supposed to be paying it to a specific to nurses working in specific departments. So I said, Granny gave the kids chocolate and ice cream before bedtime, and now the kids are yelling to their parents to continue giving them something that was not supposed to be done to begin with. You were not supposed to be giving the nurses any chocolate before bedtime, NCRHA. It was against the policy set by the CPO. And now you all want to be fighting for that? And now you want to twist it around and say, no, we're not fighting for that. You know, we just want this whole system reset. Well, do it the right way. But no, you want to bully the government because you think it's a yellow government in office now. Right? You think it's an government in office. You can do them what you want. You couldn't do that with the PNM, though. You couldn't do that with the Balize party, though. You think you can bully the little yellow party, but would have never been acting like this if Rowley was still prime minister. Give Jackie jacket. Rowley, you couldn't play around Rowley. You can't do it with Kamala either, you know. But the media is still trying. But give Jackie jacket with all what? I don't like how Rowley governed this country. No one could have told Rowley what to do. And that's one good trait that he has. He used it for wrong. But he had to give Jackie jacket. Rowley is a very powerful leader. Very powerful leader. It's just that sometimes when you have that type of nature, you use it for the wrong reasons. Kamala on the other hand, is using her courage and her strength to take Trinidad to a higher level, to the next step closer to first world status. Would it happen while she's in office? No, that ain't going to happen now. Just like with Guyana. But we're on the right path at this point in time. Even though there are things that I disagree with, I don't believe that you can tax a nation into prosperity. But they're doing a whole lot of other things that will still lead us on the right path.
It's uncomfortable.
We don't even feel safe, even us as nursing and midwifery personnel, by entering some of our own facilities.
The crisis reached a breaking point after NCRHA chairman Dr. Tim Gopi Singh recently accused staff of corruption and abusing pool, which is a flat-rate extra shift system. In retaliation, nurses have abandoned the pool, demanding instead the full overtime rates they are legally owed.
You deserve overtime rate, and we will be filing several court actions going forward for any institution that denies nursing and midwifery personnel overtime rates.
But the problem is not just in the staffing levels, it's in the cabinets. In the NICU, where sterile environments are non-negotiable, basic supplies have reportedly vanished under a revised procurement system.
Clients are having to walk with much of their supplies. There's no tissue in the NICU. How can we prevent infection without napkins, without the required tools?
With negotiations stalled at 2013 salary levels, the union plans to take their fight to the streets on April 10th. Should these measures fail to yield results, the association is prepared to escalate industrial action across all other regional health authorities, notwithstanding their reports of a looming government injunction to muzzle workers.
If they fail to refute it, and it genuinely is on the cards, it will signal a dark day, not only within the healthcare system, but for the Trinidad and Tobago as a whole, as a democracy.
While expressing sympathy with a public caught in the crossfire, the association is demanding immediate state intervention, labeling the government's continued silence as terrifying.
It has left a very uncomfortable, unsafe environment for all patients within the NCRHA.
The union is calling on Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar to fire the NCRHA chair. It is also demanding that former Labour leaders, now serving as government ministers, advise the Prime Minister to engage in direct dialogue with the administration. The Prime Minister, Minister of Health and NCRHA Chair have so far not responded to requests for comment. Doris Polo, CNC3 News.
Even as the Meteorological Service maintains that current dry conditions are typical for this time of the year, the Fire Service Association is calling for stronger enforcement of fire prevention laws as firefighters contend with frequent bushfires across the country. Association President Keon Guy said a coordinated approach by the Fire Service, Police Service, and Ministry of Homeland Security is needed to reduce the number of fires, many of which he suggested are caused by human activity. Very careless human activity. Somebody's burning a little bush, burning a little something, a trash or whatever in their home, and they have it properly secured. Nobody ain't supposed to get in charge for that. But a lot of people, they're passing in the road or whatever, and they're dropping the cigarettes, and they know it's dry season. And that catching a fire, and that's a lot of the times fire starts that type of ways and stuff like that. And then a lot of people starting it intentionally as well. He said improved practices and stricter adherence to regulations could ease the burden on firefighters during the dry season while helping to protect the country's natural environment. We definitely have to do a whole lot more to protect our flora and fauna, our forest here in Trinidad and Tobago.
Weather forecast, Trinidad and Tobago. Date, Monday, April 6, 2026. General summary. Partly cloudy to cloudy conditions are expected with a medium to high 50% to 70% chance of light to moderate showers. Isolated heavy showers and thunderstorms are likely, particularly during the late morning and afternoon, due to an approaching trough. Temperatures. Trinidad, Piarco, high 31 degrees Celsius, low 23 degrees Celsius. Tobago, Crown Point, high 30 degrees Celsius, low 24 degrees Celsius. Detailed timeline. 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., mostly cloudy. Temperatures 23 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees Celsius, low chance of rain 10% to 20%. 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., scattered thunderstorms developing. Temperatures rising to 27 degrees Celsius, rain chance 35% to 45%. 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., continued scattered thunderstorms and heavy showers. Temperatures 26 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius. 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., conditions transitioning to light rain. Temperatures cooling to 24 degrees Celsius. 8 p.m. to 12 a.m., settled but cloudy. Low 23 degrees Celsius, rain chance 10% to 20%. Marine and hazards. Seas, moderate with waves 1.5 meters to 2.5 meters in open waters. Hazards, high risk of street or flash flooding in heavy downpours. Gusty winds possible near thunderstorms.
Regional news now. GPF rolls out safety operations for rodeo traffic along Linden-Mabura corridor, Guyana. As traffic volume increases for the annual rodeo in Region 9, the Guyana Police Force has intensified its safety-driven operation along the Linden to Mabura corridor, combining enforcement with direct public engagement and assistance. Traffic ranks from traffic headquarters were actively deployed on Good Friday, not only monitoring road use, but assisting motorists with vehicles experiencing mechanical issues. That's what you're really supposed to do. Protect and serve, including punctures while offering real-time road safety guidance. Patrols were conducted along the corridor, supported by foot patrols at intervals to deter speeding, which I always say is the main contributing factor to serious accidents, fatal accidents, and also DUIs, and dangerous driving, like overtaking when you're not supposed to, as authorities move to ensure safe passage for the influx of rodeo-bound travelers. In a measured approach to enforcement, though, no motorists were arrested or charged during the exercise. Trinidadian police not going to do that because they just love to end up getting as much taxes out of people as possible. Instead, drivers committing minor, not the major, minor offenses were cautioned, reflecting the force's emphasis on education, compliance, and accident prevention instead of generating revenue via taxes, via ticket taxes. People say, but I don't tax. Yes, it is, basically. All governments using it in a way to be able to generate revenue. Jamaica's PNP President Mark Golding, and of course the leader of the opposition, indicated that he has decided that Dennis Gordon should step aside from Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, as well as the opposition's shadow cabinet, with immediate effect pending the completion of an ongoing investigation by the party's Integrity Commission. Jack Den Limited, a company owned by Gordon, is among 4 entities that were identified as benefiting from the University Hospital of the West Indies' misuse of its tax exemption to import goods. Golding, in a statement yesterday afternoon, said the commission is looking into the matter closely and will provide recommendations, adding that the situation will then be reviewed. At the same time, Golding is standing by Gordon, who has been facing mounting pressure following the report by the Auditor General. Let's see where things go when it pertains to that. If he's found guilty of any sort of corruption, Golding, you're going to have to replace him. An American woman is missing at sea after reportedly falling overboard while traveling from Hope Town to Elbow Cay with her husband, the police said. According to preliminary reports, the couple departed Hope Town around 7:30 p.m. Saturday aboard a small dinghy when the woman fell overboard with the boat keys, causing the vessel to lose power. Strong currents reportedly carried her away. Her husband then paddled to the vessel to shore, arriving at the Marsh Harbor boat yard around 4 a.m. Sunday, where he informed an individual who then alerted police. Police, along with the Royal Bahamas Defense Force and Hopetown Fire and Rescue, have launched a search of the surrounding waters. I like to say this, something wrong. Yeah, something is wrong with that story. She just happened to fall over the boat with keys in hand, and then the current washed her away. Brother man has a lot to answer for. That sounds strange to me. It sounds like a movie. Yeah, man. I'm not saying it's impossible, you know, people, but it sounds strange. Minister of Sports Charles Griffith says Barbados is committed to hosting the 2028 Carifta Games as previously expressed. Speaking to the media in St. George's, Grenada, where he is taking in the action from this year's edition, he also addressed the issues of logistics. Barbados has not hosted since 2001. Wow, that's basically a generation ago now.
President Lynch would have approached me in relation to the timelines for the completion of the National Stadium. It is expected that we should be completed in 2028 in time, hopefully, to host Carifta. So I'm expecting some good out of that. All things being equal, the last report I got in relation to the redevelopment of the stadium was that we were ahead of time. So if all of that falls into place, I suspect that in 2028 we should be in a very good position to host Carifta. Grenada, this is the training ground, so we can take whatever the template that we are seeing here in Grenada and try to, you know, manipulate it and improve on it. I think having the requisite amount of volunteers on the ground at the particular time is critical, absolutely critical. So if we're looking at 2028, I think all now the process should be started in terms of the preparation, how we're going to treat to it, all of the logistics, what we need to put in place to make it the very best.
International news now. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman said the Artemis 2 mission would not be possible if it wasn't for President Trump, as the Orion spacecraft prepares to pass beyond the far side of the moon on its journey around Earth's closest neighbor. This whole event is quite interesting to me. I continue to follow it. I love the pictures that they have posted thus far. Of course, the flat earthers with their tiny little sun will say, no, there's no such thing as going out in space. It's all propaganda, Lord Father. Your little sun, when you have it on your diagrams, you have it in a particular area that could be able to shine to show that that is how it works. Certainly, none of your diagrams ever work perfectly. It's either certain areas never get sunlight or some areas have sunlight right through. And then if you have to be shifting your little sun back and forth all over the globe, how it is you're going to ensure that there are 4 seasons changing throughout the year. It does not make sense, you flat earthers. Nothing you say makes sense. Nothing.
I want to be incredibly clear. We would not be at this moment right now with Artemis 2 if it wasn't for President Trump. And we certainly would not have an achievable path now to get back to the lunar surface and build that enduring presence. So President Trump created the Artemis program during his first term. The prior administration, President Obama, canceled the Constellation program, canceled America's Moon program. President Trump created the Artemis program so we could go back to the moon. And then on my first day on the job during President Trump's second term, he gives us a national space policy, a mandate to go to the moon with frequency, build the moon base, and do the other things like nuclear power and propulsion so someday American astronauts can plant the stars and stripes on Mars. And then he gave us the resources to actually achieve it through President Trump's signature legislation, the One Big Beautiful Bill or the Working Family Tax Cut Act. Those are the resources that actually make it possible to undertake this endeavor, again, in a very achievable way.
A fuel tanker carrying thousands of gallons of gasoline erupted into flames after a crash with another semi-truck in Grand Rapids, Michigan, sending thick black smoke billowing over the downtown skyline. a lot of accidents like that being reported by Fox News these days. But I'm thinking it was yesterday when I reported the one with the train and the I think it was a truck. The incident enforced a full closure of the highway as crews battled the blaze for hours. The cause of the crash is under investigation. Now for the interesting facts segment, meet Tony, a charming cat in Thailand who is winning hearts as a waiter. Yes, a waiter cat. At a local restaurant with a calm and friendly personality, he greets guests and keeps them company while they dine. What makes him even more unique is the QR code hanging from his neck, letting customers scan and view the menu instantly. He also carries a small pouch to collect payments and bring them to the counter. Tony's adorable role shows how creativity and charm can turn a simple visit into a memorable experience. I hope they are paying Tony a good salary.
Welcome to Real Conservative News Travel Adventures. Acadia National Park, located on Maine's rugged coast, is a premier destination featuring granite peaks, ocean shorelines, and woodlands primarily on Mount Desert Island. Highlights include driving to the summit of Cadillac Mountain, hiking scenic trails, and biking 45 miles of historic carriage roads. Key experiences include sunrise views and popovers at Jordan Pond House. Key highlights and activities: Cadillac Mountain, the highest point on the U.S. Atlantic coast, offering panoramic views. Note: vehicle reservations are required for the summit road from May to October. Park Loop Road, a 27-mile scenic drive connecting major park attractions like Sand Beach, Thunder Hole, and Jordan Pond. Hiking and biking, over 130 miles of hiking trails ranging from easy coastal walks to thrilling, steep routes like the Beehive Trail. The 45 miles of car-free carriage roads are perfect for bicycling. Jordan Pond House, famous for tea and popovers on the lawn, overlooking the pristine Jordan Pond. Island Explorer Bus, a free, eco-friendly shuttle that connects popular spots and helps avoid parking issues. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and we'll see you again tomorrow as our journey around the world continues.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.